very disappointed.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed, and not in both sides.
Yeah, not
honestly.
one side or the other. I haven't really taken sides. It's just the whole thing is very disappointing.
And I will say that I'm extremely disappointed.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. just said something that has everyone in NASCAR talking. He thinks he could have stopped this whole legal mess before it even started. NASCAR is in big trouble right now. 2 racing teams are suing them in court. The teams are 23XI Racing, owned by basketball legend Michael Jordan and driver Denny Hamlin, and Front Row Motorsports, owned by Bob Jenkins. These teams say NASCAR is acting like a bully and breaking the law. The problem is about something called charters. Think of charters like tickets that let teams race every week and get paid. NASCAR offered the teams a new deal in 2024, but 23XI and Front Row said no. They think the deal is unfair. So now everyone is in court, and it's getting ugly. Before the trial even started, text messages came out showing NASCAR bosses saying mean things about team owners. Commissioner Steve Phelps called Richard Childress a stupid redneck who should be taken out back and flogged. That's really bad because Childress is a legend in NASCAR. He owned the car that Dale Earnhardt Sr. drove to 7 championships. During the trial, team owners got on the stand and told their stories. They said NASCAR forced them to sign the charter deal with only 6 hours to decide. If they didn't sign, they would lose everything. Joe Gibbs, racing president Heather Gibbs, said it felt like NASCAR had a gun to their head. Then Michael Jordan himself came to court and spoke for an hour. He told everyone he's loved NASCAR since he was a kid. He said someone needed to stand up to NASCAR because the system isn't fair to teams and drivers. All of this has been bad for NASCAR. People are seeing how the bosses treat the teams. It doesn't look good. That's where Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes in. Jr. is retired now, but he still owns a team in the Xfinity Series. He's also one of the most popular people in NASCAR. Fans listen when he talks. On his podcast called Dale Jr. Download, Jr. and his sister Kelly talked about the lawsuit. Jr. said he was really disappointed about those text messages about Richard Childress. Jr. said,
I was very disappointed in some of the comments made about individuals in the sport, particularly Richard Childress.
He knows what Childress means to his family. Childress owned the car Jr.'s dad drove. Those words hurt. Jr. said those comments can't just be ignored. He explained,
I would like to figure out whatever it is, whether it's repercussions or there's that just can't go un.
But Jr. didn't just complain. He offered a solution. He laid out exactly what NASCAR should have done to avoid this whole mess. His plan is actually pretty simple. Give the teams more money each year. Make them happy about what they're getting, then set a spending limit so teams don't go broke trying to win. Finally, sign a long-term deal, where teams get a percentage of whatever NASCAR makes from TV contracts. Jr. doesn't even think charters need to be permanent. Just make them long-term and tied to TV money. That way, when NASCAR does well, teams do well too. Jr. said, I don't know why that didn't happen. He's sure NASCAR had reasons, but he doesn't understand what they could be. Then Jr. said something that really got people's attention. He thinks he and his sister Kelly could have helped NASCAR avoid this lawsuit if they had been in those meetings. Jr. explained,
what I would want, Jim to do is to be able to compromise and be able to get to a good middle ground.
Jim France owns NASCAR, and according to court papers, he's been pretty stubborn. Here's the big statement.
I'm telling you, if me and Kelly were in those meetings, I feel like that we could have made a difference. Because reading all of this that went on over the last couple of years, it's
just a level-headed common sense.
It isn't that hard.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
It isn't.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like, golly, man, it would have been. It just seems like this was completely avoidable.
Jr. is basically saying NASCAR made this way harder than it needed to be. The solution was right there, but nobody took it. Jr. hopes NASCAR learns from this. He says it's not too late to settle the case and fix things before they get worse. But Jr. also talked about something else that worries him. One possible outcome of this lawsuit is that NASCAR might have to sell its racetracks. NASCAR and a company called Speedway Motorsports own most of the tracks where Cup Series races happen. A lot of people think this would be good, but Jr. sees a big problem with it.
Careful what you wish for kind of thing, because number one, no one's building racetracks. Building a racetrack today is not a financial success. Running a racetrack today is not a lucrative operation.
What does lucrative mean? It means making money. Junior is saying racetracks don't make much money anymore. He continued,
and if NASCAR and Marcus doesn't own these racetracks, right?
Who does?
Who does?
Yeah, who does?
They're going to turn into developments.
Yeah.
They're going to be turned into, Amazon centers and,
Yeah.
They won't be racetracks.
developments mean shopping centers or houses. The land where tracks sit is worth more as real estate than as a racetrack. So if NASCAR has to sell, those tracks will probably disappear. Junior's sister Kelly agreed. She compared running a racetrack to running a farm. Unless you do it on a big scale, you can't make money. The land is worth more than the business. Junior added another scary thought.
If NASCAR or anyone really was to, for whatever reason, start selling off racetracks one after the other, they're going to be gone and disappear. And we're not going to have these big ovals and short tracks and all this stuff. We're going to be running on purpose-built, street courses and doing all this other silly stuff. And the sport would change identity. And
He's saying NASCAR needs to own the tracks to keep them alive. Without NASCAR protecting them, oval racing could die out. The judge in the case, Kenneth Bell, has warned both sides that bad things could happen if they go to trial. He specifically mentioned that NASCAR might have to sell its tracks. Both NASCAR and the teams knew this risk and went to court anyway. If the teams win, there's a good chance NASCAR will be forced to sell. That's when Junior's warning becomes real. So why is all this happening? Let's look at what the trial has shown us. Denny Hamlin took the stand first. He almost cried talking about his dad, who's very sick. Then he got angry when NASCAR's lawyer questioned him. Hamlin said it cost $20 million to run one car for a full season. But NASCAR only pays teams $12.5 million per car. Teams lose money every year. Hamlin told a story about meeting with Jim France at lunch. He asked France how teams could make money. France told him teams just spend too much. He said teams should only spend $10 million per season, not $20 million. Hamlin responded, "We've cut this grass so short, we're down to the dirt," meaning teams have already cut costs as much as they can. Bob Jenkins from Row Motorsports told the jury he's lost $100 million owning a race team for 20 years. He's never made a profit, even though his team won the Daytona 500 in 2021. Jenkins said the charter deal NASCAR offered in 2024 went backward. It was worse than before. He called it insulting. "I'd reached my tipping point," he testified. Michael Jordan's testimony was powerful. He said longtime owners have been beaten down for years trying to change things. "I was a new person. I wasn't afraid," Jordan explained. "I felt I could challenge NASCAR as a whole." Jordan compared NASCAR to the NBA. In basketball, the league shares about half its money with teams and players. NASCAR shares much less. Jordan said, "The thing I see in NASCAR that I think is absent is a shared responsibility of growth as well as loss." He also pointed out that drivers risk their lives every week with no insurance or union protection. "I never saw Jim France drive a car. I never saw Jim France risk his life," Jordan said. "I'd like to give a little more credit to those who do." The most emotional testimony came from Heather Gibbs. Her husband Coy died suddenly in 2022, the same night their son won a championship. She had to step in and help run Joe Gibbs Racing when NASCAR gave Team 6 hours to sign the charter deal. She was devastated. She said her father-in-law Joe Gibbs called Jim France, begging him not to do this. Joe said, "Jim, you can't do this," she recalled. But France was done talking. Heather had to leave to take her son to a baseball game. She left Joe Gibbs, who was 84 years old, sitting in the dark, listening to his blood sugar monitors going off. They felt they had no choice but to sign. NASCAR executives also testified. Steve O'Donnell admitted that teams asked for a better deal back in 2022. They said they were fighting for survival, but Jim France didn't want to change the system. Internal messages showed NASCAR executives were frustrated too. They wanted to give teams more, but France kept saying no. One lawyer called France a brick wall in the negotiations. NASCAR was also worried about teams starting their own racing series, like what happened in golf with Leave. So NASCAR locked down all the good racetracks with special contracts. This made it impossible for teams to race anywhere else. The trial is supposed to last 3 weeks. More big names will testify, including Richard Childress and team owners Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske. No matter who wins, this lawsuit has already hurt NASCAR. Fans are seeing how the bosses really think about the teams. The sport's reputation has taken a hit. Dale Earnhardt Jr. sees all of this and knows it didn't have to happen. His message is clear. The solution was simple. NASCAR just needed to treat teams with respect, share the money fairly, and work together.